PTC customer success is built on strong partnerships and a clear focus on measurable value. The value roadmap is a key tool for aligning strategy, implementation, and results.
Now, Greg alluded to the value roadmap. So Scott, can you stand up and just wave frantically so people see you? So Scott, this is kind of his area of expertise at PTC. When I was introduced, my title is Customer and Technology Partnerships. And so what I do is I get to engage with, think 20 or 30 of our best customers. I don't want to say by revenue or anything like that, but great working relationships on things like what we're doing in AI. I'd love to do more, but there's me and there's a handful of people, so I can't do all 35,000 at PTC, 35,000 customers. But what we do is we say, look, from your perspective, these strategies, these themes, from a value perspective, are super important for you. And they guide, how we get measurable results. And so Scott can kind of take you through that, but it's been incredibly helpful for us because number one is it allows us to kind of focus on the things that actually matter in the sequence, like what's the right way to tackle a problem, and two, are we really making a difference? And I'll highlight it this way because once we get through the initial conversation of what to do, we get very tactical. We get down into I'm now doing this implementation, but we need to kind of zoom up a little bit and say, are we really achieving those top level objectives that we truly set out to do? And this is kind of a very honest barometer of, are we working together to solve the right things? Also, business strategies change. They almost change faster than our implementation plans do. And so when our business strategies are changing, we can quickly revisit that and say, is this the way that it should go today or tomorrow? So it's a great way for those of you that work more at the strategy level than the implementation level to kind of frame how we can have a conversation together to drive success together. The slide on the right, and I realize it's a little hard to read, is also a thing that we do around organizational change management. So it's one part to have a plan. It's another to really say, how do you change or impact the hearts and minds? How do we get to people that might be entrenched in a way that they were working? So if I were to ask you, how many of you think that you're using agile development practices in engineering? Just a quick survey in the room. Okay, for those of you that had your hands raised, software team or hardware team, or both? Would you say the hardware team truly embraces it all the way down? That's fairly normal, right? I'm cool with it at the program management level, but at a level down where the rubber hits the road, it's kind of a challenge because they don't really know, software people, how that truly works. And so we're even looking through how do we actually change the way that some of our processes might even work to allow you to embrace those sorts of working methods, lean, agile, kind of, and so forth, becoming more fashionable. Scott can kind of take you through this, but this is kind of what an example might look like. You might say, hey, here's my strategy. Inside of that strategy, I have 6 key initiatives that I want to drive. With that, I want to measure success. So this is what success looks like. So now we're actually speaking in a language that hopefully executive buy-in for all of us, more or less can be spoken. And oh, by the way, there's some challenges that are inside of that. Now, on the flip side, how do you respond would be, with these processes and these sets of capabilities, we can address those. And so it's a really lovely framework in terms of having a conversation, even amongst yourself. And so one of the coolest things I've ever seen happen is when we go back and pull people from different parts of the org chart and bring them into a room to have this discussion, most of the PTC people step back because it's actually a lot of self-realization that happens amongst the parties in the room from the customer that get that alignment. They literally have it in front of a whiteboard, and it's one of the coolest magical moments that we get to see is the aha on why things rolling down to manufacturing is so painful, because they express to us or to the group what you could do better. Because sometimes it's hard to justify to engineering why they should do more on behalf of a downstream counterpart.
PTC's value roadmap helps customers align strategy, drive change, and achieve real results together.